a little bit about anxiety and how anxiety works in mental health. Now, anxiety is similar to a panic attack. Difference is, for me anyway, when anxiety comes on, it's not so much that I lose, I'm not able to breathe, but with some people it does happen that way. But for me, when I get my anxiety attacks, it's like I'm racing. I get real irritable, real angry, real upset to where things, trying to figure out how things are going, and it just all jumbled thoughts in my head. Nothing's real straight. I start to talk real fast. Sometimes I get to talking so fast I stutter. And that's it in a nutshell for my anxiety. But there are three things that you need to know with anxiety. When you are someone suffering anxiety, you have to have some people around you that can, one, recognize it, for two, know what to do to help you, and also three, they got to know how to themselves to deal with it. Now, the first one is knowing how to recognize it. Recognizing an anxiety attack comes multiple different ways, and you have to be the one to tell the people around you what your anxiety attacks look like. Now, I'll go back into that a little bit more in later on in this video, but also what to do, what actions need to be taken when they notice you're having an anxiety attack. For me, it's, my family kicks me out of the store or wherever we're at, and they tell me to go sit in the car. As you see, there's Bluetooth on my ear. I also play music. Um, and there are other coping skills that do work for people, but I'm talking more about while you're out. There are people who can write. I had a big help this last time I was in the hospital. The doctor told me to write down what was running through my head at the moment, and that helped me out a lot. So, but you can't do that a lot of times when you're out. So for me, it really was, just thinking of that. And I have a great tattoo on my arm that says, you probably can't read it. It says, no matter the fight, you're not alone. Now, I use that tattoo whenever I'm getting anxious. I always look at it, just so I know that I'm not in this by myself, which is the same reason why I started this channel, because I wanted people to understand that, for one, if you have a if you have a mental health illness, that you're not the only one. So if you just listen to, try to get out there. I shared with you guys about the NAMI program that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable and recognizing your illness, and that breaking the stigma of the mental health illness. Now, also what we do, well, back to the three different things about your anxiety attacks. You definitely got to let people know what to look for. And I was sharing with you, my incident. I've had an incident where I go to Wally World and I have to walk completely around the store just to go get some eggs or to go get some water, because I try to keep myself away from the crowds. I try to keep myself away from rude people who forget the art of thank you or excuse me or any of that stuff. Um, so I always like to go and talk to them, and I mean I go around so I don't have to run into too many people. So it helps. Also, I've noticed, um, not only that, what you really have to end up doing is not just walking around, but finding different ways to um, to go about staying away from the trouble. Okay. Also, what we got to do is three. The third thing is you have to let those around you know what to do if you're having an anxiety attack. My wife does a good thing. My wife does a great job of, one, trying to calm me down. She rubs on my back and she kind of like, okay, it's okay. It's going to get better. They're just rude, or there's nothing you can do about what their reaction is. Also, my wife and my kids, when they're with me in the store and they see me having that anxiety attack, they tell me to go to the car, or they tell me to get out the store, or, let's go over here, or let's go over there. They try their best to distract me from that anxiety at the moment. So I appreciate what they do. Hold on one second, the TV jumped back on. But they do a great job of that. So, again, with that being said, you know, oh, my dogs are wanting to come back in. They must have saw my son come in. But also, as you see, life goes on. Even with me making these videos, life still goes on. And we have to find a way to continue to operate in this place called reality. So we definitely have to find our way, find our purpose, find our position, and how we can continue to keep going forward. Now, like I said, I've shared 3 things with you that you have to do. 1, recognize it yourself. 2, let the people around you know what it looks like. And 3, have an escape plan, have a way out. Okay? Now, I'm also going to talk to you about three different people that you need to trust with. There's 3 different people, 3 different types of people that you want to have in your life that can help you. What's going on, son? All right. The first person you want to have is somebody in your house that can understand what you're going through. That's a lot more closer to you, that really realizes what your uh, what your anxiety looks like. When you're having anxiety, is that what you're looking for? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know where those are at. Sorry about that. Um, One, you got to have somebody, which I always say, somebody who lives with you or somebody who's always around you, so that they can recognize it, they can see it on an everyday search. I mean, an everyday, program or everyday of your life. They see how you react. They know they can pick up on it a whole lot quicker. Okay. The second person is a real close friend, somebody who doesn't live with you, but somebody who is close to you, somebody who's around you, somebody who you can make a quick phone call to, like, hey man, I got to go to the store and I'm not feeling too well. You mind going with me? And now, mind you, with this, I always put a couple people in this category because one, people work, people got their own lives, people got their own families. So I always try to have a couple of people in that list. Some of them, like I have a couple people in New York. They can't help me. They can't walk to the store with me. But I'll tell you what, they still there. They'll talk with me while I'm going through things. I was having a bad day one day. Give you a quick example. I was having a bad day one day, and I had to go take my daughter to work. Um, and on my way back home, I called my girl, Roxanne, my cousin, that me and her are real, real close. I gave her a call. I'm like, yo, cuz, I just need to talk to somebody, while I'm going down this highway. So as I'm while I'm driving down the highway, she stayed on the phone with me. We talked about old times. We talked about stuff from way back when, but she kept me focused enough to make sure I was okay, and that's the type of people you need in your life. Mind you, I was in the car, so it wasn't too much going on. I held the phone, I had the phone going when I walked in the store to grab me a cup of coffee, and got a little upset. She was like, "Cuz, don't stress it. Yeah, you can't make other people act right." So just by her being in my ear while I was out, helped me out as well. But you always want to have somebody that you can count on, that no matter what will always be there for you. Or, and that's why I said, you got to remember, you got to have a couple people there because everybody has their own life and their own problems and their own things that they go through. So they may not be able to help you. There's that one person. So you want to have a couple people in that line. All right, the third person is somebody who's normally not as close, uh, but you can call on them as last resort. So I always tell people, you heard what I said, last resort. That third person is somebody you can call that you can trust they're going to answer the phone. You can trust that they're at least going to try to help you. Now, those are just the three categories of people that I always try to get people that me, myself, works for me. Now, also, it's not so much of a fourth category, but you always try to reach out to people that you don't know if they're going to answer the phone. They're really not that close. They haven't been answering the phone for you. You try to reach out to them as well. Just to tell them, like, hey, man, I may need to call you one day. But if you're going to do that, you definitely have to talk to your main 3 people. Your main 3 people have to know that you're going to call them, for one. 2, they got to know what to listen for, or what to look for when you're having these type of issues. Whether your mood is changing, whether your anxiety's kicking in for that day. And third thing you got to do is you got to tell them your escape plan. You got to tell them what to do when they see you doing this. And I always write a list when I go to a store. I try my best to write a list, or I make my list short. Like, look, man, I'm going in here to get some eggs and some milk and a thing of water. This way they know what I'm going in for. And my kids do a great job of when we go in the store, we have that list. We say, okay, I'll take half of it, you take half of it, and we go and get what we need. But that's just what works for me. Now, the other thing I always try to tell people is when you talk to them, when you talk to your main three people, you tell them one, what it looks like, two, what happens, how to maneuver around it, and what they need to do to tell you, how what to do in case of that emergency. And three, the third thing you want to do is have them understand that, look, you may have to pick up this groceries for me. You may have to go in and pay for the gas. You may have to go fix my coffee. Anything like that. You let them know early, let them know ahead of time. This way they know what to look for. They know what's going to work out. Now, that's just, pretty much my whole spiel on anxiety for the day. But I also want to just leave you with this nugget, this notation. You can't get through anxiety unless you talk to people about it. You can't get through anxiety unless you have a strong support system. So you can't just sit there and hold this thing in. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to let people know what's going on with you. And the biggest thing that I've realized is you have to have an escape plan. You got to have people around you that know your escape plan. And that your escape plan is no more than how do I get out of this situation if I'm feeling it. And when you're doing that, you just call like, hey, man, look, if you see me doing this right here, then this is what you do. If you see me doing that, then boom, that's what I need to do. But you have to have that escape plan. And don't know, you have to talk to people. You have to let them know, how you feeling that day. Now, if you're watching this video and you don't have a mental illness, but you're around somebody that has one, or if you know somebody that has one, trust me when I tell you this. When you're going through some of this stuff, it's hard to call somebody. It's hard to lean on people. So if you feel like this person has called you to say, hey, man, I may call you in time of need, and you can't do it, you need to let them know that, hey, I can't do this for you. I'm not going to be able to. That right there is clean, Cameron. I was looking for it earlier. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and give it here. Thank you. One thing you have to realize is if you're on that list of people that they can count on, they need to know whether or not you can count on them. I mean, they can count on you. They have to know that because, look, if I call you and you don't answer, that's strike one for me. I call my next person, they can't answer. That's strike two. By the time I get to number three, I done pretty much been in. Now I'm really in anxiety because I'm starting to feel like, man, don't nobody want to talk to me. Ain't nobody here for me. Now I got to fight this by myself. So if you feel like you can't be that person, you need to let us know. The other thing is you really have to listen to that person. You really have to figure out the best way to go, best way to move around, move around with their illness. Also, the other thing you got to realize is that they may need somebody to talk to. They may not be able to make a phone call that day. So just by checking in on them, whether it's by text, whether it's by Facebook Messenger, whatever you got to do, just give them a shout out, just give them a call, something like that. I tell people I don't text a lot, but if you send me a text, I'll respond and see if I'm having a bad day. I'll ask you, is it okay to call you? And then I let people go from there. If they tell me no, then I don't call them. If they tell me yeah, I'm going to call you and you need to answer the phone. That's how I look at it. If you tell me to call you and you don't answer the phone, I'm going to text you back and say, hey, man, I just called you, didn't answer the phone. Because I'm just honest like that. So that's pretty much my video for the day. I always tell you guys, man, please subscribe at the bottom. Please help me get my subscriptions up so I can go live on YouTube as well. And also leave comments. Leave, if there's something that you would like me to talk about, or there's anything that you'd like for me to speak on, or even if you're around somebody. My wife will be on here with me on Sundays, talking to a lot of the people who deal with us with mental illness, talking for them, advocating, and telling you guys who are dealing with someone with mental illness, telling you guys what to look for, telling you guys how it is to deal with somebody, and just some tips on what you can do to help someone. But that's pretty much it for me today. Leave comments. Please subscribe. Please send this to somebody who you know may need the help. Somebody who's dealing with that same mental illness. I started out with depression, deep depression, and anxiety. And then I finally got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And it was the greatest thing for me. It lifted a big weight off of me. So